All righty, welcome to another interview on the College Baseball Show. I got no Will with him today, but we're joined by a really, really awesome guest, Florida State outfielder Brayden Dowd. Brayden, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Good, good. Excited to have you on. I know we've been following your journey for a while, from the draft side, from the college side, all the good things. So excited to have you on and kind of chat about your journey. But for the viewers who don't know you, just kind of run us through your amateur journey through college baseball, through prep side, kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Clarkston, Michigan, which is in the Metro Detroit area, and born and raised there, and have lived there my entire life. And when I was younger, I grew up playing summer ball in Michigan, obviously in local tournaments and stuff like that. And then as I got older, we started to travel to down south so we could start playing earlier in the season, stuff like that. And played in Georgia and Florida and those warmer weather states and stuff like that. And yeah, I eventually went to go play high school baseball at Brother Rice, um, where DJ Mayhew went to high school there. So following some pretty good baseball players who have came through there. And our head coach there, Bob Riker, has been a coach there for 30, 40 years now. So he's been around the block and is a really respected coach within the area. And it was a great opportunity for me to go there. They have great facilities there, and a ton of my buddies were going there, so that was kind of my clear cut decision. Knowing all the baseball players and the great talent that have gone through that school, and then also being comfortable with my classmates and stuff like that. So I chose to go there, and then my high school journey was awesome. I got way better and played on different summer travel ball teams across the country, playing down south and stuff like that, playing in big tournaments and stuff like that. And um, got my opportunity to play college baseball at the University of Southern California, and decided that was the best opportunity for me and to go there and to start my career there. And that was a dream come true to be able to get an offer from a school like that and be able to go there and compete for the first 2 years. And then ultimately this year decided to transfer to Florida State, and here we are.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Talk a little. I was going to ask you, kind of coming from, you mentioned being from Michigan, kind of being from one of those colder weather states. Did you always feel like you had somewhat of a chip on your shoulder? Because I'm from New England, so kind of
Mhm.
cold weather as well. That a lot of those guys often get overlooked just because you're not playing like in Arizona, California. You can play 24/7 basically. But for you, did you ever have that kind of like chip on your shoulder just being from a colder weather state?
Oh, yeah, totally. I think being from a colder weather state, a lot of us, I think, we take pride in working indoors all year. I think it's definitely it can be viewed as a negative thing because obviously it's so much better to be playing
Yeah.
outdoors year round, being able to do all that stuff. But a lot of my time, like you mentioned, in the winter and stuff like that, it was long toss into a net and hitting indoors and doing all this stuff, which sucked. But ultimately, I think, like you mentioned, I think it did kind of mold me into the player I am, and also being able to play in cold weather environments in games, but also have that mindset that. It doesn't have to be perfect weather. It doesn't have to be the perfect situation or perfect scenario for me to get working. If I'm serious about what I want to do in this game, that I'll find a way to get the work done. So it doesn't have to be 70 degrees and sunny for me to go outside and hit and throw and stuff like that. Like there's other ways to find work and then be able to put the work in.
Yeah, no, I love that. Just looking at your freshman year, you had pretty good season then, but you really took a big jump going into your sophomore year, right? A lot of big offensive production numbers went up, slugging percentage, those kind of things. What adjustments did you make kind of between that freshman and sophomore year that really kind of led to that?
Yeah, I think there was two kind of major things that really helped me make that jump. I think the first thing was continuing to take the weight room really seriously. I think for me that was always a big thing. I was growing up, I was kind of the smaller, scrawnier kid, and my freshman year I was way smaller than I was my sophomore year, and I think that was just um, that was just me my sophomore fall really just saying, hey, if I'm serious about the things I say and the goals that I have for myself, then it's time to continue to take the weight room serious and clean up my diet and eat right and be able to put on good weight and get stronger and faster and bigger and things like that. And then I also would say the second thing was having great hitting coach, Coach Jewett at USC, or hitting coach over there. He was a huge help for me in being able to, I think my freshman year I had some issues, pulling the ball in the air and
Mhm.
stuff like that. I think it was a lot of like top spin to the pull side, and Coach Jewett and I just put in a ton of work, just learning how to backspin balls to the pull side while also maintaining, being able to use all fields, with proper ball flights and stuff like that. So definitely huge credit to him, and he helped me a ton with just the overall, production, being able to hit for more power and stuff like that. So I would say those two things really, really helped me take off for my freshman to sophomore year.
No, I love it. Now you kind of go into your junior year, right? You mentioned transferring to Florida State. For you, what was the kind of portal experience like? What made you choose Florida State, and how has that transition been for you thus far?
Yeah, my transfer portal, what was the experience was a great experience. I was playing in the Cape Cod League when I decided to enter the portal, so it was definitely a little bit hectic, playing every day and also trying to figure out where I was going to end up at school the following year. But yeah, no, I think it was an awesome experience to be able to hear from different schools around the country, some of the top tier programs in the country, and ultimately making my decision to come to Florida State was a pretty easy one when you look at the coaching staff that we have, and
Mhm.
the previous players that have came through here. I mean, I think on my visit, before my visit, obviously just looking at some of the schools that I had been talking to in the previous, how they've performed previously in previous years. Looking at Florida State, I mean, you just look up and down the lineup and you feel like every single guy is just producing at a really high rate. And I remember talking to my dad, like, what are they doing at Florida State that's like just producing these guys, these like absolute monsters year in and year out? So um, going on our going on my visit to Florida State, that was something that my dad and I were definitely like, okay, we have to ask Coach Jared about this. Like, what is going on? Um, so I think that was a big thing for me. Obviously, I want to continue to be the best player that I can be, and ultimately, um, you know, become that player. And I think seeing Florida State in the development piece, and knowing that you have a coaching staff that knows how to get players better and what each player kind of has to do to get that player to play at their highest potential was such a huge factor in my decision.
No, I love it. Kind of transitioning into this upcoming season. I know for us, when we talked on our preview pods, and we've been kind of breaking down like the best lineups in college baseball. We have Florida State part of that argument because you guys
Mhm.
are absolutely loaded, like Cal Fisher yourself, then Miles Bailey, of course, who hits like
Mhm.
700-foot home runs. But talk about what it's been like to kind of experience the fall with that offense, and just kind of what your expectations are going into the season.
Yeah, it's been insane. I think it's going to be an extremely dangerous lineup and a super exciting and fun lineup to watch throughout the season. I think the fall, it was just insane. I mean, even Chase Williams didn't play the entire fall because he was recovering from an injury. And you just look at the players and the caliber of players that we have and each player's skill set. It's undeniable that we can beat teams in so many different ways
Mhm.
offensively, right? We have the ability to hit the ball over the fence and hit for power, but we also have a plethora of guys that can get on base, put the ball in play, move runners, play small ball, steal bases. So I think it's really cool to see the level of play and the level of hitters that we have, and I think it's really cool to just be surrounded by those hitters as well and be able
Yeah.
to bounce different things off of. And I think it's also, when you're surrounded around a bunch of good hitters, you naturally become a better hitter because you're seeing how hard other guys work, what they're thinking, how they go about their business, and I think ultimately it just kind of helps you fall in line with that, and take advice from guys who might have different approaches than you and stuff like that. So I think it's been awesome to just the fall, obviously see the level of talent we have in this lineup, and I think this spring it's gonna be an awesome ride.
No, I love it. And also, kind of looking at the schedule for you all this season. And we're recording before your first series coming up this
Mhm.
weekend against James Madison. But when this comes out, I think it'll be like leading up to the Amegy Bank College Baseball Series. Kind of want to talk about that a little bit. Like, what are you looking forward to most, kind of in that experience? Getting to play at Globe Life Field, getting to
Yeah.
play against competition like Michigan,
Mhm.
Nebraska, and Auburn, like some pretty solid baseball schools there.
Totally, yeah, that's gonna be a blast. I played there my freshman year at USC, and
That's
and
right.
that
Yeah.
was that was an awesome experience to play there at a big league park. That was my first time ever, really playing at a big league park like that, and in that environment. And it's going to be an awesome tournament. Like you mentioned, some really good teams there: Michigan, Auburn, and Nebraska. Those are three really good programs. I played Michigan and Nebraska both last year in the Big Ten, and obviously anytime you play a Auburn and SEC opponent, that's always going to be a good game, and they're going to have good arms. And so it's going to be awesome. It's going to be an early season challenge which I think we're all looking forward to, and it's going to be really fun to get out there and play some of the best competition in the country and at Globe Life.
No, I love it. And then for you, now that you've jumped into the ACC, is there a specific series that you're kind of looking forward to most coming up this year?
Uh, I wouldn't say something. I wouldn't say any specific one. I think I'm just more excited about the overall schedule. I think jumping from the Big Ten to the ACC, I think it's going to be a super fun transition, and to be able to play some of the players I might have played
Yep.
against or played with in the Cape Cod League. I think that's going to be an awesome experience. And yeah, I think it's just more of the overall conference that I'm super excited about. I wouldn't say there's really one uh, weekend that I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, you get excited for the the highly ranked opponents and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think you have to treat every game the same, and like it's Game 7 of the World Series, and yeah, go from there.
Yeah, I love it. I want to talk a little bit more kind of just your development as a player and a person as you kind of gone through college baseball. You come from a big family of athletes, right? So I've always had that kind of competitive edge. What have they kind of meant for you during the development of your career, and kind of who has been some of your role models throughout that as well?
Yeah, I think my freshman year was Um, your freshman year in college baseball is always interesting because you never really understand what your role is on the team, right? You
Yeah.
kind of go into it and you're just like, okay, coach tells me we have practice tomorrow. I show up tomorrow at practice. Like you really don't know any idea like what's really going on. So, you don't know if you're traveling in the spring. You don't know if you're starting. Like you have no idea. So, I think that first year being a freshman, when I got my opportunity, was I was very, sometimes riding the high and getting low on the lows and stuff like that. But having a sister who's played Division I volleyball and my dad playing Division I baseball, having those two people that you can really lean on and kind of bounce things off of, that was huge for me, I think, because having those two people when things might be going good, or obviously when things are going bad, to talk to and then be like, hey, it's just one weekend or a bad game or something like that. You have to always remember the player you are, and not just look at the result of one game or one weekend. Like at the core, you have to remember how good you are and the player you are. So having those two, they've been huge to me, and just my overall mindset of playing baseball and being a competitor. And I think it's cool having two people in your family that are just as competitive as you, who understand what it's like to play a Division I sport. So it's been huge to have my sister and my dad, kind of being able to bounce things off of.
Yeah, it's interesting to kind of talk about the mindset piece too, right? Because baseball is such a mental game on top of being a
Mhm.
physical game. What are some of the things that you kind of do that you kind of include into your mental preparation, right? Because like you get ready for a season, like you're gonna have those highs and lows. Kind of how do you try to maintain that steady pace throughout the season?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, it's just remembering the player that you are at all times. It's inevitable that people are you're gonna have a bad game or a bad weekend series. That's inevitable. So if
Mhm.
you're going into the season thinking, hey, I'm never gonna have a bad game or a bad series, you're just setting yourself up for failure. So being able to accept that and understand that it's inevitable and that it's coming, um, but it's also remembering that that's just a game, and that's not really the player you are, right? It's just ultimately remembering at the core that, you know, how good of a player you are, and having that confidence. I think that's really what separates a lot of college baseball players is ultimately the mindset. And I think breathing exercises are really important
Mhm.
in my um, day-to-day rituals and stuff like that, meditation, stuff like that. I think that's huge for me, and that those have really taken my game and my mental approach to the game to another level. And yeah, I think that's ultimately just understanding the type of player you are, and that a game or a series doesn't define you as a player, doesn't change how good of a player you are. So yeah.
No, I love it, and it's kind of as your game's just developed over the years. What's become your favorite aspect of your game?
I've always said that I think defense is like my favorite thing to do. I don't know. I think it's the aspect because baseball, when you're taking an at bat, you can almost overthink an at bat. People can I think an at bat is a little bit slower, right? You take a pitch, you step out, you can think about things, but on the defensive side of the ball, when that ball is hit, you just go. Especially being an outfielder, that's always been my favorite thing about sports is when you kind of just turn off your mind and you just
Mm.
react. So I think that's always been my favorite part of playing baseball is just being able to run stuff down and slide and dive and stuff like that. So that's always been something I've kind of prided myself on is being a good defender and playing good defense. And I also find that to be, the most fun part of baseball for me.
Yeah, I love it. We're gonna wrap up with some fun questions here, just to get things at the end. So, what is I guess, the go-to food spot for you now at Florida State?
At Florida State, I would say, okay, it doesn't sound like I'm sure a lot of people are expecting to hear restaurant, but it's actually a Mexican food truck that we've all been going to a lot. It's called LTO, and you'd think like when I was first told about it and brought to it, I was not too happy because it was behind like a gas station. I was like, guys, this can't be good, right? But um anyways, they took me there and I was like, okay, but they're all telling me it's like the best Mexican food they've ever had. And I was like, okay, let's see. So I got it and we've been there probably 3 or 4 times the past week. Like we just keep going back and I think after practice and after lifts and stuff like that, we'll kind of get a group of guys to go eat somewhere and we always seem to land on LTO, which is a nice little Mexican food truck. But it's better than it sounds, but something about Mexican food come out of a truck that's
Yeah,
very good.
that's what I got. My wife and I have like a favorite brewery, and it's like they have a rotating food truck, and I feel
Yeah.
that's the best part of going. It's because like it's something new every time, and it's always
Yep.
good food.
Totally.
Um, for you, what's been the most memorable moment of your amateur journey so far?
Ooh. I would say last year just making the regional
Mm,
at going to Corvallis and making to the regional final. Being at USC, we hadn't made a regional in a decade, and being a part of a team that was the first team to do that and kind of break that streak for a program that's has the most national championships in the country and stuff like that. It was really cool to be a part of that team and such a talented group in a united group and being able to be able to be a part of the team that was the first team to do it in a decade was awesome and one of the best experiences and playing in a regional is as exciting as it gets in college baseball and obviously beyond and that's the goal is just do anything to get back to that stage and beyond this year.
yeah, people underestimate the college baseball playoff atmosphere.
Yeah,
It's
seriously.
awesome.
Yep.
I remember like going to the Maryland regional, and it was not even Maryland playing, and the two teams like just kind of packed out the
Yep.
stadium. And it's like these are road teams; they're not even
Yeah.
playing at their home park. It's nuts.
Yep.
For you, so when you're not training, when you're not thinking about baseball, what are some of the go-to passions, hobbies for you?
Okay, I would say I'm a huge putt guy. I'm not the best. I don't think I've ever really beat any of my friends in putt, but it just like, and it gets me frustrated because I should be winning, but it's something that like, it's like the back nine of putt. Something just happens
Yeah.
where I can't, I start losing the putter, losing the feel of it. But I love putt. Like I'll go play putt with my buddies all the time. And bowling is another thing. Not the best bowler once again, but I think it's just anything that really getting out of the apartment, get out of the house
Mm,
and going and doing something like that, going outside and stuff like that. I think I'm all for relaxing at times, but I think sometimes I get to a certain point where we'll be, in our house or in an apartment and 3 or 4 hours go by. We're all just sitting around. I'm like, okay, guys, we gotta go. I can't sit here anymore. We gotta go do something. So, yeah, just stuff like that, like putt, bowling, going out to eat with a couple buddies, stuff like that. That's always been, some of the best times for me.
I love it. Would you ever transition putt into like real golf?
I am. I can't. I can't go. I'm still debating if golfing messes up your baseball swing or not. I'm hearing everyone saying. Some people say yes, some people say no. So I'm trying to ask ChatGTP to tell me if it really does mess up my swing or not, so I can actually start getting into it or whatever. But at some point I'm definitely going to be getting into some actual golf, and I got to figure out the slice and all that. That's just I can't. That's going to take some serious effort and time, and I don't have all that effort and time right now to put into golf. So at some point, it will be yes. At some point, it will be actual golf.
I learned real quick. I just had to aim towards the houses, and then it would make
Yep.
its way back onto the fairway. And then like that 1 or 2 times it went straight, I was like, that's just a
Like,
lost
shoot,
cause.
yeah, exactly.
I love it. For you, so what is something outside of baseball that fans might be surprised to learn about you?
I would say I'm not a great cook, but I'm working on it. I'm working on my cooking skills. A couple of my buddies and I will make, some steaks in the apartment and stuff like that, and they're way more advanced in the steak world than I am. But that's kind of like the first thing as a man I need to be able to cook is a steak. So that's kind of where we're starting. So I think my roommates and I, they've kind of been walking me through how to cook a good steak, not just a steak. So, yeah, I think it's being able to cook a little bit better. That's like the main thing. Before I get to other foods, I'm gonna master the steak, and then I'm gonna like mashed potatoes, so then I can make like a full meal. But yeah, I think it's being able to cook and yeah, just working on my cooking skills overall, I'd say.
Yeah, I can't have the rubber steak, just like the fully cooked all the way
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
For you, what if you could face one MLB pitcher right now, who would it be?
Ooh, I would say being a Tigers fan, I would say Tariq Skubal right now, or Justin Verlander. We just signed Justin Verlander, so
Yeah.
it's good to have him back. But I would say one of those two. I don't think if I faced Tariq Skubal, I think it would just be fun to see like what it's about. Like I don't think I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I would be able to go up there and hit a home run off him, but like I think it would just be really fun to face him. Like being a Tigers fan and seeing what he does week in and week out, it's unbelievable. So Tariq School would definitely be the guy I would want to face for sure.
You could get lucky. You never know.
Yes,
Run into one.
Yeah.
For you, last one I got for you. What's the potential walkout song in 2026? Are you bringing back from last year?
Last year I used Fantasy by Mariah Carey, and at least for the start of the season, we're gonna go with it.
Nice.
I think I'm hearing murmurs that I can change it throughout the season if needed. So it worked for me pretty well last year. I felt the vibe walking up there, and so we're gonna ride with that for the first couple weeks. See what that kind of does for me, and if I'm feeling it, obviously I'm gonna stick with it. But Fantasy by Mariah Carey is what we're rocking with for at least the start of the season here.
No, I appreciate you sticking with that. When I did baseball hops at Nevada, we had a guy on the team that was like changed it every 2 days because like he was in a slump or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, we can't be doing this. We can't be changing your song every 2 days.
Awesome.
Well, Brayden, man, we can't thank you enough for joining us on the College Baseball Show. We're excited to follow Florida State, follow your journey this year, and just kind of see what you all do, and wishing you all nothing but the best. I know the series is coming up this weekend, and just excited to get baseball back out there.
Yeah, awesome. It's gonna be a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.